The Frog Prince. In a kingdom blessed by sunshine, Princess Aurelia lived in a grand castle with gardens that spilled over with roses and fountains that sang. Her most cherished treasure was not a crown or a jewel, but a perfect, heavy ball made of solid gold. She loved to toss it high into the air, watching it catch the sun like a tiny, captured star. One warm afternoon, while playing near the old well at the edge of the woods, Aurelia tossed her golden ball higher than ever before. It spun through the air, but as it came down, she fumbled the catch. With a terrible bounce, the ball rolled directly to the edge of the deep, dark well and vanished with a faint splash. Aurelia's heart broke. She sat by the well and began to weep, her tears splashing onto the cool stones. Suddenly, a small, croaking voice asked, "Why do you cry, Princess? Your tears could fill this well all over again." She looked up and saw a small, green frog with large, surprisingly kind eyes, poking its head out of the water. "I'm crying for my golden ball which has fallen into the well," she sobbed. The frog replied, "I can fetch it for you, but what will you give me in return?" "Anything," she cried. "My jewels, my gowns, even my crown." "I don't want your treasures," said the frog. "Promise to be my friend. Let me eat from your plate, drink from your cup, and sleep on your pillow." Thinking it a silly request she could easily ignore, Aurelia quickly agreed. The frog dove deep into the well. A moment later, he reappeared with the golden ball in his mouth and placed it on the grass at her feet. Overjoyed, Aurelia snatched the ball up. Without a second thought or a word of thanks, she turned and ran back towards the safety of the palace, completely forgetting the little frog and her promise. That evening, as the princess sat at dinner with her father, the king, there came a strange sound from the grand dining hall door. A little tapping, flip-flap, on the marble floor. Then a small voice called out, "Youngest daughter of the king, open the door for me." Aurelia, curious, went to the door and opened it, only to find the little frog from the well. She slammed the door shut at once, her face pale with fright and disgust. The king saw her fear and asked what was wrong. She explained the story of the lost ball and the silly promise she had made. "A promise is a promise," the king declared sternly. "You must keep your word. Let him in." With a heavy heart, Aurelia opened the door. The frog hopped in and followed her to the table, where he looked up and said, "Lift me up to sit beside you." She hesitated, but a sharp look from her father made her lift the cold, clammy frog onto the table. He ate from her golden plate, and though she was disgusted, she said nothing. When he had eaten his fill, he said, "I am tired. Carry me to your room so I may sleep on your soft, silken pillow." This was too much for the princess. The thought of the cold frog in her warm bed made her shudder. But her father's command was law. She picked up the frog with 2 fingers, carried him up the grand staircase and into her beautiful bedroom. But instead of placing him on her pillow, she was overcome with anger and threw him against the far wall. "Now you will be quiet, you horrid frog," she cried. But as the frog hit the wall, there was a soft flash of light. When she looked again, the frog was gone. In his place stood a handsome prince with the same kind, bright eyes she remembered from the well. He smiled gently and explained that a wicked witch had cursed him, and only she could have broken the spell. The prince, whose name was Friedrich, asked Aurelia to be his wife and return with him to his kingdom. Having learned a powerful lesson about keeping promises and judging by more than appearances, she happily agreed. The very next morning, a magnificent carriage drawn by 8 white horses arrived, and they rode off together to live happily ever after.